23-year-old Olav moved to work at an Italian company in the Indian capital from Netherlands, where everyone loves to cycle. And luckily, he met people at a cycling group called Delhi Velo who shared his common interest and made India feel like home. So Olav, tell us a bit about you. You're from Holland. How did you come to India and join a cycling group?
Happy to tell you about that. Thanks for having me. It's been great. I'm from Holland, like you said. Holland is famous for cycling. There's a huge cycling community. People have 2-3 bikes on average, so there's far more bicycles than people in the Netherlands. And you have to be careful in Amsterdam, you know, and not for the cars if you want to cross the road, but it's the bicycles that you have to watch out for. Big thing, cycling. So coming to India, I didn't have a big expectation, right, on the cycling side. And it was so nice to see that there is a big cycling community here as well, and it's growing.
How did you find out about the group, and was it tough to join it?
I got to know these people, you know, 1 or 2 friends, extremely fit, good cyclists in India, that invited me to join the team one day. And we did that ride. We did that first ride where I was able to catch up and stay with the tail. Not getting dropped is the thing, right, if you want to stay with a cycling team. And managed, so we had that very nice first ride.
Why did you choose cycling over another sport, or is it because cycling is part of your DNA since you are from Holland?
So like I said, Holland has a big background into cycling, right? So I've always been a cyclist, loved cycling since very young. Didn't have that expectation coming to India, but particularly during the lockdown when the roads were getting empty, I noticed how lovely it is to cycle here.
So how much more was everybody cycling during the pandemic, and did because pandemic at the base of it can be very stressful living through this pandemic. So did cycling kind of help attain some kind of mental peace?
Yeah, I think that definitely helps, yeah. And again, it's that mix of the social factor, meeting friends while you're doing something together, you're cycling, you're exercising, and you're chatting, and you know, you can also talk about what's happening to you in these slightly stressful times. And at the same time, you're physically active, which helps.
Tell us a bit about the term MAMIL, which stands for Middle-Aged Men in Lycra.
The term MAMIL stands for Middle-Aged Men in Lycra, all right? And the lycra and the middle-aged man is not always flattering, right? Because you can't escape. But then by cycling a lot, getting more fit, also the lycra suit starts to fit, right? So we start to look better as we go, but that's MAMIL. And in the end, we say it half jokingly, we are MAMILs, right? We have to be realistic. Yes, we're cycling. Yes, we're trying to be fit, but you know, middle-aged men in lycra. That's who we are.
35-year-old Karun may not be a MAMIL, but is a member of Delhi Velo. He is in the middle of his pre-cycling ritual, having a cup of coffee and feeding his dog. He joined the cycling group during the pandemic as a necessity.
So why I chose to do cycling instead of running or anything else? Well, again, I was always a person who used to go to the gym. That was what I used to do to work out. The lockdown happened and I needed something else to do. Running for some reason has never appealed to me. I could never manage to be good at it. And so I thought I'd give cycling a try, and it's been great so far.
Akshay Jaitley is one of the founding members of Delhi Velo. He takes us through some of the popular cycling routes.
You know, cycling something that is really important in France. And it's nice to sort of have this link between one of the homes of cycling and the place in which we cycle, which is Delhi. And also there were a couple of French guys who were part of the original group, and this is about 10 years ago. And we set up to, you know, we basically set up because it's fun to do these things in a group. I like to go and cycle up on the ridge. There's a little bit of a challenge in doing the very small climbs that we have over there. And then there's a great circuit that you can do on the Gurgaon-Faridabad road, where you go to Tughlakabad and Gurgaon and back. That's something nice as well. But despite the fact that I'm a Delhi cyclist, Bangalore is the best city in the country for cycling.
So if you are a cycling enthusiast, here is what you need to know about the gear, cycles and technology.
This is my bike. It's a road bike. It's a race bike. You can tell by the way the bars are formed, right? Shape. You have this deep grip on the bar that you can bend over and be fast. It's light. It's a very light bike. It has like 11 times 2, 22 gears on it that you can shift with these levers, right? Both the brake and the shift is from the same lever. It's very clean. You see that all the cabling is going inside, so it keeps the bike very nice and clean. Something particular about these road bikes are the shoes, because these are the shoes and they're fixed to the pedal. So that means you don't only push while you cycle, but you also pull. Like you push and pull the pedals around. And like this, the shoe is connected always to the bike and fixed. You take care of enough water when you're on the bike. So while you're riding, you have 1.5 to 2 liters of water with you. You have your little bike computer just to follow, you know, your speed, your distance, your cadence. So this is Canyon is a brand that is available on internet. So it's skipping the dealership normally. So that makes it also a very good bike for India, because you can just buy it online and have it imported and buy it here. Of course, there's dealers. There's also many shops that sell, for example, Trek is another big brand. Then you have all the big Italian brands like Colnago is a lovely Italian brand, also available here in India, and there's many more. Most of the brands would have both entry-level bikes and high-end brands and high-end bikes. So a Canyon like this would start at $500,000 probably as an entry level, and can go as high as $4 lakh or more than that on the Indian market. What we wear is obviously Lycra, right? In the end, we are middle-aged men in Lycra. So that's a tight suit that helps you be streamlined, aerodynamics. Wintertime, it's good to have long-fingered gloves. If you don't want to wear them, you put them in your back pocket. We have short-fingered gloves. Summertime, they help you to lean on your hands while riding, because there's a little bit of gel cushion inside. Usually we bring gear to change a tire. Another thing we take are gels that you can put again in your back pocket. Gels, if you get really de-energized and you've been on the ride for a couple of hours riding hard, it's good to re-energize and get some fuel in, some sugar, and a quick gel like this then really helps. Another important element of every ride is the helmet. Everyone wears a helmet. So in the group you would also be looked strange at if you would not wear a helmet. Obviously you do wear a helmet, and it's safety first. This is a Specialized, it's a very good brand. Other brands are POC, it's quite famous, and Kask. You can all find them on the internet. They're all nice helmets.
So what we have here is a road bike by BMC with electronic shifting. It's a race geometry, so which is meant for going faster and keeping the distance up. If you're starting off, I would suggest start with an aluminum frame with a mechanical group set. Don't plonk all this money onto a high-end road bike. Firstly, it's a carbon frame, which makes it very light. That the geometry is also different, so you end up being in a position which is slightly more aggressive. You need to be a little more flexible to be in those drops for a longer period of time. A beginner's bike will have a slightly more relaxed geometry which you can stay on even if you're not that flexible to begin with.
For cycling, it's useful to get a decent quality of bike, because if your equipment is good, it makes you feel like going out. Well, I'm not brand conscious at all. The one thing I would say is that anyone who hasn't worn one of those before is to get a proper pair of cycling shorts with good padding for your backside, top quality helmet, and I don't want to see anybody cycling without a helmet. Is just wrong. That's number one. Number two, I'd say buy some form of GPS device which allows you to measure your distance and your speed, because it gives you then data which can encourage you to do better. In terms of cycling apps, there's an app which is equally good for running and cycling, which most people use, called Strava. I'd recommend that. You'll find that a lot of Delhi cyclists are on it, and the advantage with Strava is that you don't actually need a separate device. If you don't want to get one, you can just use it on your phone. I have an S-Works carbon bike. I have a titanium bike which is my favorite actually. It's the most comfortable. And I have a mountain bike as well. So there are 2 points of contact between your body and the bike. One is your hands, where you hold the handlebars, and the other is your, for want of a better word, your backside. And if you're not used to, if you're not experienced of sitting on a relatively narrow saddle, then it's good to use some sort of moisturizing or chafing cream which prevents blisters from forming in uncomfortable places.
Most of the members of Delhi Velo are in their 40s and 50s, and in each bike ride they cover 70 to 100 kilometers. They cycle once or twice a week and end it with a cup of coffee. Exercise-induced dopamine and serotonin with a dash of male bonding over caffeine is definitely a recipe for healthy living.